shaft blast's gonna blast some shafts. Jesus Christ, I bet a lot of you thought you would never hear those words again. Well, here I am. I'm back. What can I say? I'm about as unpredictable as my fucking upload schedule. Who knows when the next video might come? It could be next week. It could be next year. Who knows? I certainly fucking don't. Anyway, today we shall be returning to Rimworld, because I'll be fucked if I know how to make any other type of video. We shall be embarking upon a very French adventure, with some very French people. We will also have a few French themed objectives to complete during this episode. Number 1 is to get shit faced on some wine. Number 2 is to give the ladies a good and proper shaft blasting right up the derriere. And number 3 is to build a chatty AU. Yeah, that sounds about right. Joining us on this quest will be 3 of the Frenchest people I can think of. Napoleon. I'm not sure what his last name was, so I just went for Dynamite. David Guter, and you can fuck right off if you think I'm going to try to pronounce that correctly in fucking text to speech. And finally, we have a French gun. I can't imagine why he'd be called that. The first task that I set for my Frenchman was to start construction on a petite maison. From here they would be able to fill it with beds, and they could fill the beds with women, and they could fill the women with some of their fromage straight up the vagin. The project ran into an issue however, when David Guter, my most skilled constructor, decided to go and lay down in a berry bush and look at the sky. I considered locking David in Les Maisons and Metre les Feux. I decided against this, as I imagined that his wailing would sound similar to his music, and no one needs to hear that. My decision paid off, as David was able to cut down a whole tree all by himself before going to bed. I realized that I hadn't started construction on the farm yet, and that my Frenchmen were in danger of mourir de faim cause d'un manque de pommes de terre. I'm really nailing these pronunciations. I therefore started work on the kitchen and freezer. What I didn't plan for was the fact that the Frenchmen decided to construct the entire thing in the middle of the fucking night. Soon after, a couple of wandering traders made their way into camp. I noticed that they were carrying a couple of primitive bows and arrows with them, and concluded that my pistols and rifles would be no match. So, I decided to do the Frenchest thing possible and surrender. Thankfully, neither of the traders spoke any French, so I was unable to formally surrender the town to them. The Frenchmen were honorable however, and decided to name the town in accordance with their oldest tradition. They were able to put the name to good use shortly after, as a small naked man turned up with a club. However, as he approached the town to deliver the terms of surrender, the Frenchman's weapons malfunctioned and sent a hail of bullets towards him. The only kind thing to do after that point was to put him out of his misery. I instructed the Frenchman to dig a grave for the fallen conqueror, but no one could be bothered to drag his lifeless, rotting corpse to the hole. Instead they started farming the berry bushes in the fucking dark. Due to a lack of potatoes, the Frenchmen were forced to go hunting for some small wild animals. You can really see their marksman skills on show here. Soon after we got word that a local pedophile was being chased by a kind of bloodthirsty rabbit. The Frenchman decided that this wasn't worth the risk and let the rabbit nibble him to death. A slave trader then appeared with what looked to be the ideal Frenchman. He could cook, was lazy, and hated any sort of danger. I decided to spend all my silver on acquiring this fine specimen. As he was the 4th member of the colony to join, I named him accordingly. Get it? Do you get it? The Arsenal fans will get it. Look up this man's name and the number 4, and you'll get it. Seriously, go and do it right now. Type Arsene Wenger 4th into Google and you will get it. Are you laughing yet? So anyway, I then started construction Le Chatty AU. From here the Frenchmen hoped they would be able to shaft blast some vagin. Some time passed after this, but not really much happened. The gameplay was less interesting than the content uploaded by Potnoodle247. Well, there wasn't much content to begin with, but you get it. I then encountered a slight problem with the game not letting me refuel the generator that was powering the fridge. What's more, I knew the lazy Frenchman would need at least a week in order to summon the energy to perform such a grueling task. The Frenchman also received a transmission from an old friend informing them that he was escaping the planet. Next to surrendering, escaping was just about the Frenchest thing the Frenchman could think of. Unfortunately, it involved a shit ton of walking, so they stayed put. The real problems started when a real-life German walked into the camp. I tried to arrest the invader on sight, but she assaulted two of the noble Frenchmen. For some reason she had cut off his toes. Who cuts off someone's toes in a fucking knife fight? Anyway, following this catastrophe, I unlocked the optional French bonus objective. Number 4, give up. So I did. Leave a like, and do a sub, if you want more of this shit. Until next time, Shaft Blast out.
China. Half of my hotels are in China. We're getting not smarted by China. Half of my towers are in China. I grant what's in China. China.